Hey, welcome to my podcast. I'm Manina, and you are listening to an episode of Aspire Big, Inspire Bigger podcast. Hey y'all, welcome back to Aspire Big, Inspire Bigger podcast. Today I have a new guest, Javonne Steward. She's an author, speaker, entrepreneur, podcaster, founder of No Excuse Today and Pillow Thingy. She's going to talk more about those things as we talk. Welcome to my podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
What I like to do is just ask anybody who's coming on the podcast to just tell us a little bit about their story and how they got to the point to where they are. What's their why? What's their reason? So that's my first question to you.
What's my why? What's my reasoning? Well, the first thing I want to say is I have a link in my bio on my social media that explains to you perfectly my why, the heartbeat behind what I do. But I am Javonne Steward. I reside here in Houston, Texas. I am a mother of two, and I am from Chicago, Illinois. And so a lot of my upbringing has a heavy, thumbprint into why I do what it is that I do. I grew up in foster care in the city of Chicago. I was a foster kid for 11 years, adopted at the age of 16. And so my whole life is lived by not making excuses. And hence, one of my brands is No Excuse Today. That's pretty much me in a little summary. But how I got started in business, let's see. I think my pull to entrepreneurship, the call was somewhere around 2007, when I think everybody gets this, I don't want to work for nobody no more, I want to be my own boss.
Right. I just don't feel like working. I got to do something else. Right.
Yeah, so around 2007 is when I started feeling like, you know what, I want to do my own thing. So, but it wasn't until 2010, 11, where I actually really took a leap. And the first leap that I took was becoming a self-published author. I wrote my very own children's book called Princess Javonne, and a story of overcoming obstacles. And that's pretty much how everything got started back when I wrote that book. So that was 2010, 2011. And Pillow Thingy was actually birthed in 2018. And then No Excuse Today is a fairly new business this year. And I'm super duper excited because all of the brands that I've created, they kind of work hand in hand. Everything that I do is centered around family.
How did you start Pillow Thingy? What's Pillow Thingy? The children's book, that makes sense. What started Pillow Thingy?
A life-changing event happened where it triggered a memory from childhood and took me back to childhood. I was trying to get over something very life-changing, and Pillow Thingy was developed, and it's really crazy. I was usually with my creative moments, I have to be mad or something to be this creative genius, and I got to that point, and so I was trying to make a doll to go along with the book, the Princess Javonne book, and I accidentally made Pillow Thingy, and it was my daughter who actually really made it come to life because, I was trying to make a doll, but she said, because I cut the head off, I couldn't get the head right to the doll, and she was just like, don't cut the head off, but I did it anyway. And she woke up the next morning and was like, can I color on this, and can you sew the top? And it was like, ooh, wait, I got something here. And so that's how Pillow Thingy actually got started.
Look at that. It's always something like that. It's never what you think it is, but it always turns out greater than what you started as, you know what I'm saying? Or just as great as what you thought.
So grateful for Pillow Thingy.
How has Pillow Thingy changed your life?
Oh man, Pillow Thingy for me, I really do think it was a part of my healing process for that difficult moment in my life. And I hadn't even realized it. But one of the things that I really, really enjoy is when I'm out in the market, in the local Houston market selling product, the reaction that other people get from this quirky idea that just came by accident, that's the most fulfilling thing to me, that kids and adults, it's not just kids, it's actually adults who get it. And that has been most fulfilling for me. Like, I don't know, I do know that Pillow Thingy is a classic. I don't really want to call it a toy, but I know it's like one of those classic things that can transcend from generation to generation. And I'm really excited to see what it's going to be, 20, 30 years from now. Mark my words, it's going to be something super duper huge. It's going to impact the world in some shape, form, or fashion. I just don't really know how yet, but I know it's happening, just based off of the responses that I'm getting from people and the testimonies that I hear from parents. And they may not always share it, because we live in this world where people don't like to get on social media and share. But the fact that they tell me and pull me to the side, or, send a text or send an email, hey, Javonne, like, you got something here, that's very meaningful for me.
I like that. And I'm marking your words. I believe you. And I'm sure we're going to all see it 100%. Not only are you a author and an inventor, because there's a whole invention that you made. Hello, you are coaching, right?
Ooh, if you want to call it coaching, I prefer, because like a coach, they consistently spend that time with you. How did David Shands break down the coach?
How do you
the mentor?
Coach is the mentor is someone that is doing it just for the love of seeing you succeed. And you're gonna ask them questions.
I'm more so
that. Coach, you're gonna pay for the skills set. Okay. All right. Yeah. Coach, you're gonna pay them for the skills that to help you get from point A to point B. To execute what the mentor, the cloud of thought the mentor brought to you. And then the coach is like, all right, here's how we do this. Boom, 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 boom.
Yes.
That's the way.
Now, I do have products where I do help you to get from, like, I want to say I'm the pusher. That's what I am. Because once I push you, I'm not going any further with you. I'm not going step by step. It's kind of like I'm the pusher, I'm the activator, and the mentor. That's where I consider my space. Because coaching is, I don't want to say coach. And maybe I'm just not accepting that I'm a coach, but I'm not the
maybe coach, but it's okay. No, okay, that's fine too. Let's think about it in sports, right? In sports, you're a coach for the age group that you're in, that you're coaching, right? Say you're coaching a little league. It's just they're there for the time that they're there. They're 1 or 2 years, and then they out of there. You get a new group. So it's coaching, but you're giving them the skills for that moment that they will need to get to the next moment. The next coach can.
They got about 2 to 3 sessions with me, because I'm the type of coach you gotta execute. Like, I'm gonna push you to your greatness. And I have had people that I've actually practiced on in the past, and I believe that they are doing very successful now, because I gave them that push for them to be independent almost. And so, yeah.
Right. Why is helping people in that way important to you?
You know what? Because I think everybody was like put on this earth to do something wonderful, something powerful. Like, nothing is in vain. And so I think everything that we go through life, we don't really realize that it is definitely for somebody else, especially if you come through it. And I was just telling my daughter this the other day. If you can actually go through something and you come out on the other side of it, well, that experience wasn't for you. It was for you to help somebody else. And so when I look back over my life, if you're looking from the outside in, it looks like, wow, Javonne had it pretty jacked up. But I don't look at my life like that. I look like, oh, wow, I was trusted. I was handpicked to go through what I went through so I could come through and help somebody else. And so I embrace that, and that's why it's important for me to, and even going forward, I know I'm going to experience some obstacles and some craziness, but although I know it's coming, I know I'm going to get past it, and it's going to be for somebody else. So I just like seeing other people pull up whatever's on the inside of them. I like for that to come to fruition. I love to see that. And everybody has it.
Yeah, that's awesome, because I know for me, I started Aspire Big, Inspire Bigger because I had big trauma in my adult life, right? And I talk about it often here on my YouTube channel, in my podcast now. In 2011, I got pregnant out of wedlock, and I was pregnant with twins. And I got to 5 months, and my body went into labor. And obviously, they did not make it past birth. And it was so traumatic because I felt like I was in it alone. And I felt like it triggered a lot of loneliness that I felt from childhood on. My mother passed away when I was 12, and I felt like the family that surrounded, except for a couple of the few, all evaporated. Family, friends, I don't know where nobody is now, right? So that linked together. So for me, Aspire Big, Inspire Bigger was started because I lost my babies, and I felt alone, and I needed to understand who I was as a woman. How did I get here? Because I couldn't keep living on the thought process that I'm a good person and bad things shouldn't be happening to me. So I just kept catapulting myself into bad things instead of saying, hey, you got to have the boundary. You have to be the one to shield yourself and save yourself from a lot of these things. Aspire Big, Inspire Bigger is my road or journey to womanhood. And I wanted to share that with other women as a way to, like you said, share your testimony. It really is healing to other people, and it's healing to yourself. That's one of the biggest things that I found for me. Sharing with other people and being able to connect with them on that level is healing to myself, because for me, it was a thing of loneliness. I don't feel alone. Not that I want other people to suffer with me, but there's other people who understand where I'm coming from and how I am connecting, and it makes me feel like, oh, okay, this is all right. I'm all right. Oh, we're all right. You know what I'm saying? So it's really important to like you said, being able to, everybody has a purpose, in the suffering or things like that are not in vain. And it's important to share that and be able to be a sounding board to other people, and an open book to other people who really, really need it. You might be helping somebody stay on this earth and fulfill their purpose.
And sharing. I think that's why we're handpicked to go through the traumas, tragedies, whatever joys and triumphs that we go through. It is never really for, we are to learn lessons through that, but the whys behind it is typically, what in my experience, is typically for somebody else. And then, one of the reasons why I enjoy it is because it really helps me to fulfill my purpose on earth, when I could come out and help somebody through something that I actually been through. That's very fulfilling, and that keeps you going. Okay, I didn't go through this in vain. I embrace it. Everything I went through, it was for a reason. It's for a purpose.
I've even come to the point where if I'm going through something, I'm like, oh, okay, God, I hear you. Oh, okay, I'm about to save lives after this, because because you know that you're going through something. And especially, I know when nobody around me can say, oh, that happened to me, this is what I did. Sometimes the things I go through, I'm like, this is happening. My friend's like, sorry, friend. I don't know. It never happened to me. I don't know. Oh, okay. But those are the things I know that are going to really help people, because I shared a video about the loss, and there's women up to this year, since I posted in 2014, I started the channel, that'll say, I just lost my baby, and I'm so glad that I found your video because it really helped me not feel alone, or help me, so yep. And it's the toughest things that you feel like you have to go through on your own, that, man, that's the biggest reward for the other people who get to hear your story, for sure.
Yeah, even the babies have purpose. That's everything in life is like purposeful, and like you just really have to. It really just depends on a person's perspective at how they see it. But everything has meaning and everything has purpose.
I wanted to also ask you, in the gear of mentoring, what are the 3 most important things that make people great mentors, you feel?
That's a good question. I'm going to say trust, transparency, and vulnerability. I can't get out. Vulnerability. And the reason why, and these kind of like tie in together, because if you're like all 3 of these things, this can actually help unlock the potential and the spark in somebody else. When I know for me, in the past, when I've had mentors, when they are vulnerable and allow me to see that they are human, it's more relatable, and that's something that I'm currently working on to be better at. And then the transparency. When somebody is transparent, it really does something to the human soul. And I've noticed times in my life where I know somebody was closed off and they wouldn't let you in, but I shared something and I saw how it like opened the door, like, oh wow, like Javonne just shared that with me. Okay, I'm gonna be a little bit more. And so it's like a give and take. And then with the trust is like earned. And that's a real value right there, when you're able to trust people, and if somebody's able to trust you as a mentor, that they can trust you with their information, that they can trust you with their emotions, that they can trust you with everything, that that's very valuable. If somebody can trust you, they can vouch for you, and then begin to send people your way, refer you. And so that's very important, I believe, in a mentor.
For sure. I was, what was I listening to? I don't know. I think it was an interview. He said, with trust, you can lose trust in an instant. So it's like a bucket. You have the trust and you lose it in buckets, and you gain it in drops back into the bucket. So trust is very important. Trust is important. Yeah. I was like, oh, that's deep. But it's true.
It take a long time to fill up the bucket. Yeah. Wow.
And transparency, I feel like those are really good ones, because sometimes people want to be a mentor, I guess, just to be called a mentor. They don't really want to give you any information. They don't want to be transparent.
You really have to open up your life to connect with, like when I say mentor, like I feel like in my role as a parent, like I feel like I am my children's mentor. I'm their first mentor.
Absolutely.
But I'm also their / coach, because I'm with them constantly, for these 18, 25 years.
Right.
But yeah, it's a mentorship, and like I feel like it's a pouring into, developing another person without any really return on investment.
It comes. They just gotta get their life.
It comes in a different form, but I guess the return on investment for somebody like me would be them succeeding in whatever it is that they've had guidance through. So it's a more so internal reward. Yeah,
for sure. It depends on the person. I think man, investing into people doesn't look like it does look like a slow return every time, but it's always worth it, for sure. It's always worth it, even if it's a small return. Even if the person doesn't get exactly what they want it to be, or where you thought they should be or whatever. It's still a blessing to help others.
Have you ever seen Miracle on St. Anna? Or it's that Spike Lee movie? It's a war movie. I think it's Miracle on St. Anna or Miracle in St. Anna. But there's a part in this movie where the soldier had helped a little boy escape the Nazis. And fast forward many years later, the soldier was on trial for killing somebody. And the little boy that he had helped years before just so happened to be a billionaire and saw him on trial and actually, came through to bail him out. And I thought that was very powerful, because when it comes to help the return on investment, although the soldier didn't know that, he didn't know who this little boy was going to be. He didn't even know if he was going to be alive. That's the way I think of my return on investments. I really think that there's somebody that I have helped or will help in the future, have helped in the past, that will remember me in my golden years and remember my family. And so although I may not reap that blessing, but I'm praying that my children or my grandchildren or my great-grandchildren will reap that blessing. And so that's the way I think. It may not come now. Absolutely. And I'm okay with, because sometimes we see stuff and we're thinking, oh, it's going to be for me. Even with me and my businesses, I'm like, will I reap the rewards here on earth, or is this set up for somebody else? And so that's the way I think. It's a patience game, so I don't get bent out of shape. I just know that I'm doing my part here.
Yeah, sometimes sometimes that can be scary, the thought of, man, I just think about our ancestors who were here and they were enslaved, and there was 100 years before them and 100 years after them. Like, they were going to be slaves their whole life. Nothing, but they some of them still fought, yeah. And the end of slavery was nowhere near their lifetime, but they still played a part in ending it and getting the rest of their people free who came after them. So, like you said, it might not be the reward in that lifetime, and sometimes that could be scary to people. I think sometimes I might even stifle people. People may not go forward with working on their gifts because they don't want that to be their outcome. But it's really important to be okay with what part you play in that. Because without you, you're prolonging it. You're not, you're prolonging the blessings, All right. So I have something in every podcast called the Introvert Corner, because I am a stark introvert, and even doing a podcast, even talking to people that I have not had a one-on-one relationship with is in general out of my comfort zone, right? But you're like, yes, I know. But I feel like, are you an introvert?
I feel like I'm the antisocial. I'm an antisocial. But I do a lot. I say that I'm an introvert, but a lot of people are like, no, you're not an introvert. Like, yeah, I am. I know you. But yes, I also know that I'm running a business, and the businesses that I'm running requires me to interact with the public, and so yes, what you see is a lot of adjustment.
So yeah, even people who know me since Facebook is a place where there is your peers and then their parents and their everybody's there, and they're like, I didn't even know you talk, girl. Like, you're talking, you got a show, like, oh. So that's who I was. I was just a little mouse.
That introvert. When I'm on camera, I'm in my own world. So that's why it probably seems like I'm talkative. Like, because when I'm on camera, I feel like I'm in my own world. It's just me.
Yeah. So I feel like you like, hey y'all, like, you there? Yeah, hey y'all. So, okay, in the introvert corner, I usually have 3 introspective questions just to get into the mind of the guest, because for my fellow introverts, we might not do these things, but we are very introspective, we think, and a lot of us are very empathic. So if you express something or you tell us about how you handle something, we're going to be able to ingest it and not have to do it ourselves, but still get the experience. So that's what Introvert Corner is about. We're picking your brains so you can help us experience life in a different way that we might not go out and do ourselves.
Cool.
So, question number 1. If you could go back to any point in time, where would you go?
A couple of years before Malcolm X was killed. Because Malcolm X is one of my heroes. I think he had some work that he had started and that it had not yet been completed. Just looking at documentaries on his life, I'm just like, Malcolm needed a solid team, and I don't think he had that. And it broke my heart. And Malcolm, it would be before. And if I was alive during that time, I probably would have been on Malcolm's side. I would have probably figured out a way to get to Malcolm. Malcolm was the real deal. Like, he really was. Very powerful, influential dude. And if you were to ask me who my second person, which I know you didn't ask, it would be to the same for Fred Hampton in Chicago. Just to meet him a year or two, if I was, born during that time, if I was around that age, to meet and talk, because he too, I believe, left unfinished business on the table for the Black community. That's where I would go.
I would go. Maybe I'll go. Oh, I got Nipsey Hussle on my head. Maybe I will go a couple years before this and get to know him and save him from that day, because that breaks my heart every time. I just can't even. It just breaks my heart every time I think about it. Not Nipsey. I would probably go back to the time when I was in college and finish. I would be rich. I know.
Yeah, I didn't finish either. That's I think everything played out the way that it played out. I don't even know if I didn't even know myself, during that time. But I think everything happens for a reason. I think everything, and if we take consistent small steps, and it'll build up to the momentum that we need, because once that gets going, there's no stopping you. So I think we're on the right path.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. All right, question number 2. What resources do you need to figure out what your passion truly is? I guess that's an in general question.
Well, let me tell you.
Let me write that down.
Okay. Seriously, I really do think that the DISC assessment is a must for high school, college, young adult. The earlier you take it, the better. And I think that for us, we did not finish school. Had I had an assessment, honestly, it would have, and a guide, a mentor to say, hey, let's look at your strengths, because we've always had our strengths. We were born with them. Everything that I'm doing now, imagine me doing this as a 10-year-old, 11-year-old, helping people. I have stories of me doing this. People thought I was going to become a teacher because of, the way that I was when I was a little girl. But everything that we have, all of our strengths, is right in childhood. And that's why those very first few years are important. And then somehow it gets lost in the shuffle when we go from tweens to teens. And then by the time we become adults, we just lost. And I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Well, behavioral assessments, personality assessments, these things are the real deal. And I have currently, if you are watching this, if you go to the link in my bio at Javonne.Steward, she'll have my name up on the screen for spelling. But I have a free assessment for you to take. Now, this assessment costs money, costs a grip out here in these streets. But guess what? Because I love helping people and really want to see people, maximize their potential, I'm giving it to you for free. But what you're not gonna get for free is that mentorship. That's coming with a price tag. But yeah, like those type of assessments can really, like, personal development is, if you don't invest in personal development, I cannot stress it enough, you just spinning wheels. We put money into things that don't matter, shoes, clothes. No, the faster and the quicker you learn out about yourself, the better you will be if you want to get married one day. The better you will be if you want to become a parent one day. The better you'll be an asset on your job, be an asset in your business. You have to take the time to invest in yourself. I know a lot of people like, oh, I want to get into real estate. I want to invest in the stock market. Homie, let's stop. And I need you to invest in yourself first, which is very low cost. Very low cost. There's so many tools and resources out there in the world right now. But what you're going to do is go to my bio page on my Instagram and get that free tool. And then we can talk about, because you don't need to spin wheels. The more you learn about yourself, I promise you that's golden. It's like mic drop. It's like bam, now, because you have a clear vision of, it's kind of like putting together puzzle pieces of yourself, from childhood, and it's laying out a path for you, because everything that you have is already in you. And that's what a lot of people don't even realize. They think, oh, I need to go here, and oh, I need to go there. No, you don't. You just really need to look within. And I'm not just saying that. That's not fluff. This is what I live. This is what I do. And when people see me and they're like, Javonne, you excel at this, and you do, it's because I know myself, and I spend time investing in myself. And I've been doing this for the past 5-6 years now. Like, this is what, after my last divorce, when I was like, I don't even like myself. And it was just some aha moments. And I can't tell you, the more time you spend developing yourself, the better off you will be for not just you, but the whole world. Like, you can impact by just making small adjustments with yourself.
That's it. That's 100. That's the same answer I would say. The resources that you need to figure out what your passion truly is personal development. Mm-hmm. Personal development will help build your self-esteem, will help build your understanding of where you are in comparison to the rest of the world, and who you are in comparison to the rest of the world, because everybody can't speak over your life for the rest of your life. Sometimes there's people with great parents or great guardians, and they speak so much over their life, and when their parent moves on to the afterlife, you lost. You don't know who you are anymore, because you needed them to speak those things to you every day. But
it's so many people that's lost.
Yeah. In personal development, it will change your life. It will change your life for sure.
Please take advantage of those first of all, the free link. And then if you want me as a mentor, which I'm one of the dopest, I'm just really saying, you might want to, and this is an investment. It really is to push you to your greatness. Like, that self-development is definitely key.
Definitely key. I took mine. I'm a high S and a high C too.
Yeah.
Which is really explanatory for the nature of me. So, but yeah, it's really helpful. And even getting to know where you are, if you're D, or IS, your S or C. Even if you see a lower D, that doesn't mean that you're not, effective. It just means that you think more before you, act on things. So it's good to know. It's good to know who you are and what you are. And it like I said, it builds your esteem, because sometimes you could be looking, especially as an introvert, as this is the introvert corner, as an introvert, you look at yourself and you're like, what is wrong with me? How come I can't just get out there?
There's nothing wrong with you. Those are your strengths.
Nothing wrong with you.
And so many people focus on what they're not good at when they need to stop. And let's start focusing on what you are good at, because when you start focusing and sharpening that, then you just going to be a force unstoppable and like, let's go. So, yeah, we don't focus on what we're not good at. That's why we find other people who are good at what we're not good at, and we focus on what we're good at. Point blank period.
All right, so number 3. Point blank period. So number 3, what are you most curious about?
Feel my transparency.
I cannot say before you answer this. I feel like this. I feel like a little bit like that's a good David Shands question. Like I feel like I got his little. I got a little David Shands spirit in there for that one. Because he be asking people most like, what do you like to do on your day off? Like what?
What are you most curious about? I'm gonna be transparent. The first thing that popped up in my head, Lord, when is my husband coming?
Well, girl, we're curious about the same things. Now we talk.
Now, Lord, I've been married. I'm divorced twice, so it's not like never had one. But I'm just like,
okay.
Am I going to grow old alone, Lord? Should I be preparing for this?
Yeah. I turned 36 this past weekend, and no husband, no children. Obviously, my children are not here anymore. No children, no husband, and I'm looking at God like, so what we doing? Should I be? What should I be doing? Like
that was my first thing.
Assisted living, like
I realized that there are some more things that I have to kind of get in place to prepare for my husband. So I'm like, I'm not in a rush. I'm just, sometimes I'll be like, okay, God.
Right.
But
today would have been a good day.
Let's see. Yes.
Today would have been a good day for me to meet him. Right.
I guess what do I want to know more of as a question, or what do I want to know?
What are you most curious about?
What am I most curious about? That's a very good question. Let me think about. That's a very introspective question.
I feel like I said I got David Shands spirit. When I saw that question, I said, "Oh, this is a David Shands question." Let me write this one down.
What am I most curious about? This is sometimes I think about this often, and I don't mean to be deep. Sometimes I want to know, and I'm like, maybe I'll have to wait till God comes. I really want to know, like, what the end of the world will really look like, because I don't think it's what we think it's going to be, and I would like to know, like, what comes after that. Like, is life going to continue? I just don't think it's just going to stop. And so those are some curious. I'm not trying to be super deep, but yeah, that's something I would like to know. And I would like to know if there's like a dome above us, like beyond the skies, something that
like what's really up there, right?
Yeah, like beyond the space, and like what's like it's biblical stuff that I want to know, actually. Yeah,
well,
that's
the greatest thing is that we're gonna find out. For sure.
Yeah,
we're all gonna find out.
I don't want to find out in my lifetime, I guess, because then that means it's
not in our lifetime. When it happens, it's gonna happen, and we're gonna be there whether we were there or we were not. We're gonna know.
I don't think I want to be on Earth when it happens.
When it's all over, and God's like, let's just fold this up. I tried. This is not working. Pack them up. Get them out of here.
That's what I'm most curious about. I'm curious about, biblical stuff. That's just
right.
That's interesting to me.
I feel like that's a good thing to be curious about. Like, I don't don't know what I'm most curious about. I think, no, that's not true. I don't know what I'm most curious. I'm most curious about I guess it's just as deep, huh? I'm most curious about life as it pertains to your connection with your family, who you are, and how that flows through you, whether or not they're in your life or not. You know what I'm saying? I think about that a lot. Like I said, my mother passed away when I was 12. I know her as a 12-year-old. You know, I don't know her woman to woman. You know what I'm saying? So, but there's things that if I speak to family members who did know her as a woman, they'll say even certain things like, "Oh, ooh, you sounding like her right now. You laughing like her, or you look, you got the same facial expression right there." Or things like that that I'm not privy to. But I think a lot about like, I'm 36. My mother had me when she was 36. Like, what was she going through before? You know, what was she going through before she met my dad? What were the thoughts in her head? How consistent they are with who I am and the things that I think. So I think I'm most curious about that. And so I guess that ties into like who I am. I'm most curious about who I am in general.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was deep. That was a deep ending question there. Oh. But that's good.
That deep, but
that's good. That's what we need at Aspire Big, Inspire Bigger. We're here to be transparent and vulnerable, and let the people know that they can trust us.
Yes, you can trust.
That's right. That's right. But Javonne, I really thank you for joining me on my podcast. I am excited for people to see this, and I'll have all your links below. And just let me know of anything that you have coming up or you're working on, or any virtual speaking engagement, anything that you have coming up. Just give us a little rundown of it so we can make sure to support you.
Yeah, for the month of October, my focus is going to be raising some money for a local Houston organization, a women's organization here, with bringing attention to domestic violence. I think the month of October is everybody's focus is breast cancer awareness, and it's very, very few people who are talking about domestic violence, and domestic violence is affecting kids, teens, adults alike. And so I decided to focus on domestic violence for the month of October because it ties in with the No Excuse Today time out for, the craziness. There are a lot of boys who, this stuff starts in childhood actually. And mamas and daddies really need to get a grip. Am I raising an abuser? These are things that we need to focus on. There's a lot of conversation that need to be had. There are a lot of preventative methods, and there are a lot of organizations that have resources and stuff in place to help prevent that. And so I'm just doing my part. And so if you guys like to support, if you go to www.noexcusetoday, you can go ahead and get a unisex purple and white tee to rock, and a portion of the proceeds will go to a local Houston organization here. So yeah, that's what I am currently working on. And if you really want to take that next step in life, I really encourage you to log on to Instagram, follow my links, and get you that free assessment, and then set up your one-on-one session with me, because it'll be Dizzo, and you'll be like, oh my goodness, thank you, Javonne. Let me help set you free and get you on the right path. Especially if you spin in circles, and I advise anybody who's struggling with parenting. If you're struggling communicating with your kids, you definitely need to take a DISC assessment. If you are struggling at work and you're trying to advance, and you keep, you can't go nowhere. if you're just trying to develop your relationships, and if you just want to know more about yourself and how you can show up better for the world, you need to take the assessment. And I'm trying to tell you, people out there, they ain't giving it away for free now, but I got you. Okay, so I'm giving you the link now. This is my investment in you, giving it to you for free, and then you go ahead and make the investment in yourself. Sign up for a one-on-one session with me. I promise you, I'm just as lovely and quirky, just like this all the time.
Good.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good. All right. Well, thank you. And I hope that you guys can reach out to Javonne and support. I'm definitely going to go on your link and support with the t-shirt, because that is, I'm a big advocate for women and be people who are being abused, because it's not only women, but people who are being abused. Yeah. They do not deserve that. No matter what triggers they're touching on, they don't deserve to be abused. So I'm a big advocate for that. So I like that.
But it's like too with when you wear no excuse today, you helping somebody just by rocking the shirt. Like, real talk, people will look at you and people read stuff. This is everything I do is intentional. No excuse today. What that means, it's a great way for introverts to start conversations, which is what
that's what I'm saying. You wear your message on your chest: aspire big, inspire bigger. People be like, "What's that?
People be like, what is that?" Oh, let me tell you.
Mm-hmm.
But this color is in purple, and it's for the color chosen for domestic violence. So yeah, that's what I got going on. I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all so much for having me and listening to me. Talking to the listeners, man. Thank y'all for listening to me. I appreciate you.
That's right. Hopefully you'll be able to come back. Anything new you have coming up, just let me know and we'll be able to talk about it and have some more sharing and transparency for the listeners.
For free. Yes.
That's right. All right, y'all. Later.
Out.